All right. Make sure that shows up. Make sure we get this coming up.
So now that we're done, I can say all the bad off the record things, right?
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. Speak freely. Hey, everybody. It's Wednesday. So that must mean it's Whiskey Wednesday. Oh, you got a good group tonight, guys. As long as they don't turn on us, we'll be just fine. And it looks like we have enough whiskey to prevent that from happening. First of all, everybody, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I think I actually posted this. This is actually a really, I think, an important Whiskey Wednesday to come to. Not only because I don't think everybody understands independent bottling, especially here for the United States. And the pioneers, in my personal opinion, the pioneers are here for independent bottling, and the type of independent bottling they're doing is Nora and Adam, our husband and wife team. They are the creators, the co-founders of Lost Lantern Whiskeys, and we're going to go through tonight and talk about how they started, how everything goes, who's in charge, because that's going to be a story and a half, and knowing both of them, and just some of the different sort of takes on whiskey that you guys are now doing. So first of all, thank you for coming and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Don't thank me yet. The night's young. But we have an unbelievable lineup tonight, and the cool part about Lost Lantern is you're trying to do a couple things that are going to sort of like be like flagships and like always available. But the cool part about Lost Lantern is it's always going to be changing.
Yeah.
So first of all, let's start. What is Lost Lantern? Can you guys explain that?
Yeah. So Lost Lantern is an independent bottler in the Scottish tradition. So we saw a bunch of stuff upstairs that is in that category. So you think Gordon and MacPhail, Signatory, Blackadder, and it's basically buying casks of whiskey from distilleries all across the country and showcasing that whiskey with full transparency on where it comes from. In the United States, there is a tradition of sourcing that's existed, but the level of transparency that you see in Scotland hasn't really existed here in the United States. There are also over 3,000 distilleries in the United States. Bourbon is made in every single state. And part of what we're doing is giving you access to whiskey that is really only regionally focused. So taking that independent bottler tradition in Scotland, really IBs give you access to whiskey that's often put in blends or showcasing a different side to a distillery. Like at some point we had an unpeated Lefroy from an IB. You would never taste that otherwise. So bringing that, applying it to the United States, we're giving you Adam goes out and visits distilleries all across the country. We sift through the really great things and then highlight the best of the best. There, as I said, there are over 3,000 distilleries. We've worked with 40 at this point, which is both a lot and also a tiny number.
Just a fraction of it. Well,
exactly.
And the other part that I like, and this is sort of what independent bottlers do, there's certain whiskeys that I like. I'm going to use the Scottish example. There's certain whiskeys that I like from Scotland that I won't find a distillery bottling of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And so the only way to get them is through, could be just the regular run. It doesn't even make a difference if it's something special, like an unpeated Lefroy.
Yeah.
It's just, they just don't produce or especially for export a expression that I can't get. So what's really cool is now I can see and taste some of the whiskeys that I'm hearing about across the country that maybe are never going to come to Massachusetts. They're never going to be big enough to do that. And whether you guys buy a barrel or you buy several barrels or you start blending it, whatever you guys are doing, it gives me an opportunity to say, like, would I want to explore that? Would I want to, if that came about, or especially me, somebody says, oh, we want to come into Massachusetts. Oh, really? What do who are you and what do you do? And, who's your daddy and what does he do? That type of thing. And you always sort of want to have a sort of a handle on, is this something that I should even be looking at or taking seriously? Because there is, no matter how big of a store there is, there's only so much room on the shelf.
Yeah.
And I got to make sure that my customers, one, are going to be interested in, two, it's really good whiskey. So there's a plethora of different angles you can take of what you're doing. The funny part is you got to remember, Nora and Adam came to me and said, "Hey, this is what we want to do. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Oh God." I love the idea, and I think this is almost exactly what I said. I love the idea of what you guys want to do. It's going to be a ton of work. The education, the educational part of this is going to be a lot of work, and you're going to have to, like, you're going to have to recruit people like me, like my customers, and other people across the country are going to have to start teaching people what you're doing. You can't just sort of do this on your own in the wilderness. You're going to have the people who, for better words, drink the Kool-Aid. They got to be involved with this type of thing.
And we knew going in that it would be a challenge to explain what we're doing to a lot of people unless they were really familiar with Scotch independent bottlers.
Right.
But the places that we're working with have faced that challenge on their own. Like the first Texas distilleries, when they were making Texas bourbon for the first time, and 95% of people told them, "You can't make bourbon in Texas. That's illegal." And that's just not true. And people just didn't.
Well, if it's in Texas, they go, "We do legal stuff all the time, so don't worry about
That's
it.
fair.
It's fine. Don't worry about it."
But there's always an uphill battle of some kind. And we at least wanted to do something that felt like was very different than a lot of what we were seeing out there. Because we loved Scotch independent bottlers. We both come from the industry. I used to work at a Whiskey Advocate magazine. Nora worked at an.
I mean, that's where we met.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I used to interview you because you would tell me what you actually thought, which is not true of a lot of people.
I'd never do that.
No.
That's so unlike me.
I could call you up and be like, "Tell me about the latest flavored whiskey," and you're like, "It tastes terrible, but I'm selling a ton of it." So
Right.
like
mean,
it.
listen, I always get people who would, and we've talked about this, is like people who rail against something. And it's like, at the end of the day, if I'm not in business, I can't sell the other stuff I like.
Right.
So why wouldn't I sell the stuff that I don't like, but other people like? I don't understand that. And the thing we always talked about too with flavored whiskey is, my biggest thing was, if you could have made it with vodka, you should have done so. If I can still taste the whiskey, even though it's flavored, I can still taste that it's whiskey. All right. Now you got me, because sooner or later, you're not going to want that sweet blueberry or blackberry flavor. You're going to actually crave the whiskey, and you're going to, that's the flavor you're eventually going to be drawn to. And some people never leave that, and they stay stuck in a rut. You like the cinnamon bomb, and that's where it's going to be for the rest of your life. And that's okay too. That keeps the lights on. I don't have a problem with that either. So,
and who are we to say, like, you shouldn't drink that? If you like it, you should drink it.
That's right. And any way you want it, we had this discussion too. And any way you want it, if you want to drink that cinnamon thing with milk, go right ahead.
Cool.
I will not look at you doing it. That's your choice. And I'll fight for the right for you to have that choice.
I will say we will not be providing any marshmallow finished whiskey in the near future. But
you're from, well, okay. Now I'm gonna stop you, because you guys are, so your home base is in Vermont.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of maple syrup in Vermont, so don't say never.
We keep getting really interesting maple syrup finished whiskeys from other states.
Yeah.
We've done a few finished bourbons. We'll taste one a little later. That's
Cool.
Armagnac finished.
Yeah.
But we can't do any maple syrup finish unless it comes from Vermont. Because if we did a maple syrup that was not from Vermont,
you'd
be thrown out.
Get strung up.
forced to
They
make
would actually
maple
have
syrup.
to ask you to leave. I
Yeah.
think. From
Yes. Yeah.
It so happens I have a sugar shack up in Vermont that we can talk about, so we'll be okay there. All right, before they start getting restless out there, let's start drinking some whiskey, and we can continue talking about how you guys do what you do and where this is all going.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
So number one, what do we have for number one?
Yeah.
here?
So I guess as a starting off point, we do 3 different types of products, and we're starting with our blend series. So anything that has a blue label like this,
Yeah, it's all color coded.
It means that I have blended whiskey from multiple distilleries together. Our American Batted Malt, which is where we're starting, this was actually the first blend that we ever made.
First whiskey we ever made.
First whiskey we ever made. It's a blend of American single malt from 6 distilleries. at the time it was 2018, 2019 when we put
He's
it
just
together.
going to correct her, just so you guys.
He remembers this stuff.
That's-
I do the blending. He remembers what
Remembers-
distilleries are in it.
Exactly.
and all of that.
She's only concerned with the art.
Yeah, exactly. Science art.
Science art.
Yeah. But these were 6 distilleries that we thought were doing really interesting things in the American single malt space. And so we actually got them together into one room and we blended this collaboratively. We will probably never do that again. It was a crazy logistical undertaking, but it
That's
also,
like herding cats.
Yeah.
So
at the time we didn't know that it would mean that they would bring these absolutely stunning barrels that we would never have gotten our hands on otherwise, because this was a rare
measure.
opportunity.
You bring that many people that run distilleries, it becomes a measuring contest. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's going to bring their A game because they want to show off.
Yep. Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. And so for us, it was a great way to get immediate buy-in from some of these distilleries and also make something that was really indicative of the American whiskey landscape.
Okay.
This is basically a bird's eye view of American single malt at that time. And it was blended to bring out American single malt. We actually ended up with 2 final blends that the group loved. One tasted a ton like Scotch.
Okay.
And then this one. And this has more new oak. So about half of the barrels are in new oak, half are in used cooperage. And it showcases what the American single malt landscape looks like.
Can I
at the
make a
time.
comment about this?
Yes.
I love that you use the term vatted because vatted to me describes. So the Scotch Malt Whiskey Association decided that vatted was a bad term and it was very confusing for people. I don't know how, but it was, because then they moved to blended malt instead of vatted,
Which is more
which
confusing.
to me,
Confusing.
because now you have blended Scotch and you have blended malt, and which to me is more confusing. Vatting means exactly what what you probably think it means. You put a bunch of stuff together. It can be from different sources and you're putting it together to create a product. And I love the term vatted. I think that just describes what you did, especially in this one.
Yeah.
What you did here, especially coming from how many different distilleries and coming together and putting this all in one package. I think that just, to me, it just sings. That's what it is.
And for us, it was really a nod to that Scotch tradition, for us saying that we are coming out, we're working with American whiskey, but we are an independent modeler modeled on.
Come on, it was a middle finger to the Scotch Malt Whiskey Association. Don't give me that. Don't give that, Adam. He's like always this mild. He's got this mild manner to him, and he's really a rebel. And Nora knows this. He's really a rebel, and he just wants to go like, yeah, eat that, Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
Yeah. Instigator. Do you want to rattle off the 6 names?
Yeah.
of the
So
distillery?
the 6 distilleries that are in this are Balcones from Texas, Copperworks from Washington, Westward from Oregon, Santa Fe Spirits from New Mexico, which is a mesquite smoked single malt.
Okay.
Virginia Distillery Company from Virginia, obviously, and 888 from Nantucket. And
Nice.
this came about right after we had first started the company, and we decided we didn't want to just run this by email from New York City, where we were living at the time, but we really wanted to get out there and make sure we truly understood the whiskey landscape. So we took an 8-month road trip around the country before COVID, put everything we owned in storage, and lived out of a Prius and very cheap hotels and Best Westerns for most of a year.
Less
which was still-
expensive than New York rent. Yeah.
And decided
That's just a statement of like, you not only did you keep a company together, but you stayed married, which is just that right there alone.
Well, we weren't even married yet. We got married
that's right.
after
That's
the
true.
road
That's
trip.
right.
So that says something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that road trip is really what let us get a little deeper into seeing how every distillery was doing things individually and very differently from each other. And it's also when we started to hear from some of these American single malt distillers that they loved the idea of blending with other people's whiskey, but they never had an opportunity to.
Right.
So after we heard this like 4 times, like slowly the light bulb, the candle slowly flickered on.
Yeah,
that maybe
exactly.
we should try to do this. And
Yeah.
we
You
could
be the catalyst.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Scotch independent bottlers also do multi-distillery blends all the time, like Douglas Lang with Big Pete, and there are other remarkable regional malts. Blending is an important part of their tradition, and we always wanted to be part of what we were doing.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, let's try the first one. You guys ready? What's the ABV on this one?
105. This is one of the
105.
rare things that's not cast strength.
Okay.
We brought it down from 120-ish. We found that with this many, so it's 2 barrels from 6 distilleries, and it took some water to actually get them to play nicely with each other. And
how long did you vat this for a while to let it blend together for how long?
we slow proofed it for
4 months.
Yeah, multiple months. I used to know it, but I don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
But this,
So you want to explain just so they know, you want to explain what slow proofing is?
yeah, it basically means adding just a little bit of water at a time, because sometimes water can shock the whiskey when it's put in, and there can be some chemical reactions that make things taste like soap. It also can just make things not integrate. So you add something like less than 10% of the volume of water at a time until you're ready for it to get to the proof. And we find that that allows the whiskey to soften and the mouthfeel to be a little bit more gentle than it might be at that proof otherwise, if you just splash a bunch of water and kind of shake
The first time I heard that, it was cognac and Armagnac houses do this. And I'm just like, that makes so much sense. Like, instead of just like, it's ready to go in the bottle, you throw water in it, and basically it mixes itself up, and you put it in the bottle, and then you're done.
Yeah.
I said that makes just so much more sense to me, is to actually add water over time.
Right. And that comes from Nancy Fraley. If any of you know her, she worked in cognac and does a lot of blending for a lot of craft houses. And she's the one who really introduced that and proved the difference between just splashing water in and doing that slow proofing.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
She showed us enough times that it was worth doing, that we're willing to take the time.
I absolutely think so. What do you guys think? Really good, right? And I gotta say, thank God for the art of the blend, and thank God you're the blender here. But if you take these whiskeys separately, they are very different from each other.
Yes.
This is not like, oh, we get some whiskeys. Yeah, they're all single malts and they're all very similar, and we're going to put them together and we're going to make a blend. This spans a pretty good differentiation in palate of each of these whiskeys.
Yeah.
So the fact that you could corral these things all together and have it come out this way is a testament to your ability. So I really like that. Yeah. I really like that one.
Do people perceive this as smoky? So the interesting thing is, 3 of the 12 barrels are smoked, 2 mesquite, 1 peat. And we find it's just enough that smoky people people who love smoke might get a little hint of it, but people who don't like smoke, it doesn't scare them off, which was the goal. We wanted this to appeal. You have enough new oak for a bourbon palate, but you also have something that tickles the single malt itch as well, and find access points for everybody.
This is sort of answers the category. I say it's the salt, not the steak.
Yes.
So it's meant to enhance the smokiness, and this is meant to enhance, not be the main course.
Yep. Yes. Totally. We'll get to smoke later for those of you that like smoke. So, and if you don't, you'll still have to taste it.
There was much rejoicing over here. I heard a lot of rejoicing over there.
Yeah,
but I think it's just nice. It integrates well. Yeah. This is, and you and I were talking about this earlier. It's balanced.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and especially when you're trying to work with this many distilleries and you're putting something together, it has to be balanced. Because you won't, you'll try it, sure, maybe interesting, great. I want people to buy another bottle of it.
Right.
And if it's not that, it sits on the shelf somewhere and no one really drinks it.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And if anyone is curious why this one looks a little different than all the others, this was our original release. We saved a little of it for when we launched in Massachusetts so that people could get it. But other than that, it's long gone everywhere else. So it's a sort of a deliberate blast from the past.
And we've done a little bit of a facelift on labels since then. So that's why this is the new blend label. So.
All right. Well, speaking of which, let's go to number 2.
Yeah.
So what's our second one that we're trying tonight?
I don't want to talk all the time. Far Flung Rye. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that independent bottlers in Scotland also do is regional blends. And we've started to explore the idea of emerging regions in American whiskey. So obviously Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana have been known for bourbon for a very long time, but now there are more distilleries in Texas than there are in Kentucky, and it gets a lot of recognition for that. And so does the Pacific Northwest. But one area that we think doesn't get a ton of recognition is the Midwest, which really makes beautiful bourbons and ryes that are lighter and creamier than what you see from a little further down south. So for Far Flung Rye, which is our first ever rye blend, we wanted to showcase that regional character, bring together ryes from across the Midwest in a way that is a little different than each distillery on its own, but really showcases that regional character, which you would describe usually as creaminess, right?
Yeah. We rarely give tasting notes, but that is one aspect that we generally see from the Midwest.
Yeah.
It's worth noting also you'll get Far Flung Rye and Far Flung Bourbon. Those are flagships. Those are our blends. This is a very specific launch where it's just from one region, but generally they're from all over. That's why it's called Far Flung. The idea is it's a bird's eye view on how great bourbon and great rye now come from all over the country. This was for a specific release where we did a Midwest collection focused on that, but Far Flung Rye 2 is actually done and bottled and everything, and it comes from all over, more similar to the bourbon.
Okay.
And those
All right.
Far Flung, both rye and bourbon are flagships. They're done in a batch process. The distilleries change batch to batch, but the idea is they should be readily available, and each batch is, we like to say, siblings. So there's a family resemblance,
Right.
but they're distinct enough to have their own personalities. And this is the first rye. Do you want to rattle off names?
Yeah, so this is, again, all Midwestern distilleries. It's 2 from Ohio, Middle West, which is a big distillery, Tom's Foolery, which is a very small, old school distillery with fancy old cognac stills. Starlight in Indiana. We thought it was fun to include an Indiana rye that was not MGP.
Right.
And Cedar Ridge in Iowa and Wollersheim in Wisconsin.
Nice.
Has anyone had all of those distilleries before?
Or some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them,
I'm sure there have been some Starlight people.
Yeah,
Starlight.
Has anyone had Wollersheim?
I don't think so. I don't think that's made it out this way.
So they're a Wisconsin distillery. They were a winery, and so they started making brandy and then eventually made really interesting bourbon. It's definitely more dense grain forward bourbon, but it's from the blending perspective, it makes an amazing base, because in the Midwest a lot of ryes are more delicate because cool climate. When you think about maturation, the easy way to think about it is barrel extraction and oxygen interaction. In hotter climates, you get more extraction, and in cooler climates, you get more of the oxygen. So you get less oak to it in those cooler climates. And so from a blending perspective, you have to worry about base notes. Like, does it become too top heavy? And Wollersheim is amazing for creating that kind of vertical integration that you need.
And then you're sitting there and you're playing with it anyway. So now it's going to be, like, again, it's sort of nice that you have this palette that you can paint with that has like some of these other notes in it.
Exactly. I mean, I get to paint with more colors than just about anyone in the US right now, which I feel very lucky to be able to do.
The other blends that are out there, many of which are great, are just Kentucky, Tennessee, MGP usually. Yeah. And why not start to play with whiskey from completely different parts of the country?
What's funny is
no one has ever blended before.
Midwest just bought Old Elk.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's,
those
of you who don't know, that's who bought Old Elk.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that brand now too. So
and they're big now. They started out as a small craft distillery and then really invested a lot of money to now being one of the largest independent distilleries in the country. So
they also make pumpernickel rye.
That's what's in this. That is, which it's a slightly larger grain. It's a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit maltier. You might get some hints of that in here. There's also in a lot of these, there's a lot of malted rye, which is somewhat unusual, which you'll also perceive generally as a little bit softer, a little bit more of a malty profile because it's malted.
I also get, I always end up getting that that chocolate or patent malt sort of flavors out of it too.
Yeah.
That sort of shows itself, you know, especially if you do like Old Pochero gets that like in spades, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. What do you guys think? Is this your rye? I mean, it's a different rye though, right?
Yeah.
It's not exactly what you would not think of as a regular rye. I think that blend really shows.
And it's not spicy. I mean, so I have a very specific rye palette, and the beauty of being a blender is I get to blend to my palate. And I come from the wine side. My background is originally wine, and then I started doing whiskey stuff. So my palate can get overwhelmed with things. And I find rye, those 95.5 ryes, I find them literally spiky on my palate. And so, and I've gotten that feedback from people that I don't like rye. I don't like rye. It's too intense. It's too spicy. And I wanted to make a rye that would speak to everyone, that it's a little bit more gentle, but it gives you all the wonderful notes.
A kinder, gentle.
It's relative. This is still, this is cast, it's cast
Yeah,
strength.
cast strength, by the way.
It's relative.
It's relative. Yeah, it's relative. All right.
But it's still, we wanted to give it, make it a little bit more accessible than you see sometimes out there.
I just saw you were out in the Midwest, also visiting a good friend of mine, Harold Joyce.
Oh yeah,
At Days to File.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. We just tried. We actually have one of his bottles. He dropped it off here.
Oh, nice.
For that too. So I mean, that's gonna be one of the type of things. I'm trying to convince him that Massachusetts be the next place he opens up. But
if only there were an independent bottler that maybe had some barrels from.
Might already, yeah.
I sort of heard that, by the way. I'm letting the cat out of the bag so he doesn't get in trouble, just so you know.
I love it.
All right. So you like that rye? Yeah, really good, right? All right. Yeah, you can have a question. What's that? Yeah, we did on the first one was 105. The second one is
121.6.
121.6.
Yeah.
It's the 0.6 that really gets you, sir.
Yeah.
The 120, 21, you know, whatever, but the 0.6, that'll knock you on your socks.
And we do just about everything at cast strength because it's really easy to add water if you want it, or put it on the rocks and have it stand up to it, but you can't take water out once it's in there. So we're not saying you have
can't
to drink
add
it.
alcohol. No. Everybody sort of thinks you can. You can't.
I mean, you might be able to add some horrible stuff.
Yeah, maybe that if you want to do that. but you know, and that's the one of the things that I caution everybody on or about cast strength whiskeys is they're whiskey concentrates. So be careful when you start, especially when you start getting over 120, is that you're anesthetizing your palate as you drink more. The more you drink, you're anesthetizing your palate. Try a little water in them because you can bring them down. And we have this discussion all the time about like Weller Foolproof, which is at 114. And everybody goes, well, why don't you do 107? I go, well, you can add 49 milliliters of water to a bottle and you have 107. So you can make 107. I couldn't get you 107 and you make 114. Doesn't work the opposite way. Exactly. So you can bring it down. And I always tell people, even if it's just a couple drops, no matter what you're tasting, just a couple drops of water, you're gonna all of a sudden. Everybody's got water today. You also got really great water. It's Icelandic glacial water. I'll do a plug for our sponsor. But the reason why they are is it's really good water. So don't add tap water, please. Especially if you live in Worcester or Westboro. Don't add tap water. When in Worcester, you know, I used to wrestle in Worcester in high school, and we used to joke that I was the only water that had protein in it. Anyways, but like just add, like, even if you add like a drop or 2 drops of water in there, you're just going to open it up enough to at least release that tension and stuff like that, and you'll taste a lot more of what's going on in the whiskey. I like that you do. You know, there's got to be a reason. The 105, the first one we tried, is at 105 because we tried a bunch of different ones. That's where it tasted the best. We're letting you decide on, when they do cast strength, they're letting you decide where it tastes the best. So you know, if you actually like if this rye you actually like at like, let's say 100, adding water to get it to 100. 100's a great place to drink whiskey. 110, somewhere in there. You're going to get more than the 750 we sold you because you're adding water. So I'd rather add water than let somebody else do that for me. That way I can control where I'm drinking it at.
Yeah, agreed. Every palate's different.
Right?
And so we are expecting that a good portion of people will add water to bring it to where it tastes good.
Hazmat's really cool after your first sip. When you get 3 or 4 into that, like sips, not glasses, because you'll never make it there. But when you get like 3 or 4 sips into it, you're anesthetizing your mouth. You're not tasting everything that's there. It's just, that's science. I can't change it. I don't care what palate you have. That's science.
That science is just your opinion, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You and your science opinions, man. So, all right, let's, we got number 3 here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the first 2 were from our blend series. The this one is from our single cask series and really is the most classic traditional expression of what an independent bottler is, where this is a single barrel from one distillery. We named the distillery on the front label. It's from Far North Spirits in Minnesota. And we didn't do anything to it. And we don't pretend that we did. We bought the barrels after we visited them. We moved them to Vermont. We bottled them there. We have our own production facility and tasting room. And we put it out and we said that this is what their whiskey tastes like. If you like this, you will like their whiskey. If you don't like this, you probably won't like their whiskey. But it's a distillery that you may not have heard of. Has anyone had anything from Far North before?
It's too far north for me. Never
course
never
you
get
have.
there. Never get
Yeah.
there.
I mean, the fastest way from Vermont is through Canada. Because they're
Yeah.
they're closer to the border than we are in where we are in
Really?
Vermont. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're the northernmost distillery in the contiguous United States, meaning outside of Alaska. So they're the very northern tip of Minnesota, about an hour from the Canadian border, 6 hours north of Minneapolis, and you're still in the United States.
Barely.
Barely.
Yeah.
And what makes them really unique is that they're one of the country's only estate distilleries. This is from our summer collection, which focused on estate distilleries. And what that means is that they grew all their grain themselves on their family farm. They've been farming in northern Minnesota for about 100 years now, mostly growing rye because that's one of the things that can grow well.
Oh, people always go, "Why rye?" Because it can grow there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of those. It is one of those. Like that's why we had a lot of rye in New England. It can grow here.
Right.
Yeah, I think their growing season started this morning and it ended this afternoon.
That's probably correct.
So this is made from rye grown in their farm and aged in that unique climate, which is obviously much less hot than a traditional rye climate
Right.
like Kentucky. In some ways, it's a climate more similar to what you see from a Canadian rye, but with a mash bill of an American rye. So it's without getting to tasting notes, it's definitely a very non-traditional rye. And
What's the mash bill on this rye? Do you know?
65% rye, 25% corn, 10% malted barley.
Okay.
Yeah, and both the rye and the corn were grown on their farm.
And
What's the heirloom and what's the ABV on this one?
this is 111.
111.
0.6. Yep.
0.6, sir. So be careful of the 0.6.
And when we talk about estate distilleries, they're investing a tremendous amount in their grain. We often hear even distilleries say that a lot of a whiskey's flavor comes from the barrel, or that almost all of a whiskey's flavor comes from the barrel. And that can be true, but it's more true if you're using really cheap grain that doesn't taste like anything.
Right.
If you're using expensive grain that was grown specifically for flavor, especially for flavor for whiskey, the whiskey will taste more like the grain itself. So that's one of the reasons this is very non-traditional. I find this to be a somewhat polarizing rye and won't be upset if some people are polarized by it. But
The other part about that too is just so you know, to harp on that sort of a point a little bit. A lot of these places are producing what, you know, we now use the term, and I think it's rightfully so. We now use the term estate distilleries, right? Everything's done there. They're not necessarily growing certain grains for. There's always that ratio of tonnage per volume of alcohol. So you want a ton of the grain to produce the highest amount of alcohol you can make, because that is how you make money on alcohol. These guys aren't necessarily looking at that. They're looking at, I don't care what it produces for alcohol. This is the grain we're going to use because this is what we grow on our farm. This is going to have a certain flavor profile, and this is what we're looking for. So there's a definitive decision being made of, you know, economies of scale, and I think especially on an estate distillery.
Yeah.
There's really, by the way, there's really no technical. This is like we're going to get into like, you know, small batch. There really is no technical term for an estate distillery, but we're all under the same assumption in the industry that estate distillery means that you basically grow and distill your stuff.
Right. It's the wine. It's the wine
It's the
definition.
wine definition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Color code. The
Yeah.
green is for some weird reason. Do you guys know? I meant to ask Chuck this when I was talking to him.
no one knows.
Like no one really knows, but I think it's because of the spruce. But whenever you see, a lot of times when you see green on a label, it does usually mean rye.
Yeah.
Read the label because it doesn't always mean that.
but
But
for
a lot
us,
of times.
for us, it does. Yes.
For you guys, it does. That's the color coding.
Yeah.
Make-
Most.
Well, a
places-
lot of them are green.
Knob Creek is green.
Knob
Yeah.
Creek, yeah,
Rye.
yeah.
So we were
Old
just following it.
Rye is green.
There's
industry.
like sort of tradition that sort of happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, in the back. What was the mash bill one more time?
65% rye, 25% corn, 10% malted barley.
You all set? Lisa, did you have the same question or do you have a different question? You guys both raised your hand next to each other for the same question.
It's true.
I knew you. Is there anybody that wants to make sure that they're noticed that I will notice? It's Lisa. She has no problem getting noticed. I'm always looking over because I know she usually has a question. And it's usually a good question. So that's why. All right. If you guys all tried it, I haven't tried it yet.
Seems like.
Yeah, you're way behind.
I am way behind. Well, Nora's right with me. She hadn't tried it either.
Sure. I mean, the cool thing about these guys is they also do really scientific experiments. So they do different plots of different rye, and you can actually get different varietal releases from them, very much in the wine tradition. And that's also very rare. Some places will work with farms to do something like that, but this is honestly probably the only place that I know of.
I was trying to figure out what I was getting on my nose, and I think I got it. It's a cedar. It's cedar. It's like a cedar chest. That sort of really sort of popped. Yeah.
It's a good tasting note.
It's good. I'm not, that's not a point against it. It's just that's what it is.
Yeah.
And we say when we're doing rye from a place like Minnesota or California or Nevada, we don't want it to taste like a Kentucky rye. What's the point of that? We want something that tastes a little different.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
That finish on that is really different. It's really good. I like it.
We find this is the type of thing that people either love or aren't a fan of. We actually really like divisive whiskey.
Yeah.
Because strong reactions are generally very interesting to us because we're showcasing something that's unique. And if you don't like that one, we got
another
a bunch
one.
of other stuff.
Just so you know, we got another one.
Yeah.
All right, not crazy about.
It's okay.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. I think we got more likes on that one.
Yeah.
Was there some indifference? Did I get some like people who didn't raise their hand on either one? Well, I'm not asking.
Sounds like they need to taste the whiskey more.
Yeah.
I like it.
Indifference. That's not. Yes. Which he says when he smelled it, it smelled like Home Depot, but in a good way. That's a tasting note, just in case anybody's wondering. Okay, but which Home Depot? Which one? Marlboro Home Depot. Okay. I think all Home Depots have their own distinct smell, so you have to be
the terroir of Home Depot.
The terroir of Home Depot. The wood. The wood. What's that?
Lowe's. Yeah.
I got more of a Lowe's. I'm gonna have an argument over which. Is anybody True Value? True Value? Anybody? Koopmans? Small. It's a small one. Koopmans. All right. All right. So we did sort of have a sort of divided audience. And I think there was a little bit more people who liked it than disliked it, and there was some people that won't commit. They're probably single, but that's beside the point.
Wow.
No, but that's really good. I like that one. I personally do like that one. It's very different, and it's very different in a good way. I don't know if I compare it to a Home Depot, but maybe a lumber yard. Maybe there's some of that. Okay, yeah. If you enter Home Depot, I'm going to explain this to you. If you enter Home Depot in the main entrance, not so much. But if you enter on where the lumber is, that's the entrance.
Understood.
See, this is why we don't take notes.
Yeah, this is why.
Someone could say this smells like a Home Depot, and that's all we can think about.
That's right. Randall and I always did a thing where we would tell people, like, we just start off and say, like, everybody get the pineapple?
Ooh.
Then everybody goes, yeah, I get the pineapple. And I go, there's no pineapple in this one whatsoever. But we're doing it for a point with, like, never say what we say what you say. Like, you taste what you taste. Yeah. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Even if you can't identify it, it's okay. You don't have to identify it. I don't know what it tastes like, but I like it. Okay. I don't know what it tastes like. I don't like it. It's okay too. Our job would be very easy and really boring if everybody liked the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So this is why there's Coke and Pepsi, and for some of us, RC Cola. So, and Moxie. Moxie sign up there.
Should we move on?
All right, let's go to number 4.
So 4 brings us to the third way that we release whiskey, which is called our single distillery series. And that is a blend that we make from a single distillery. Effectively, these are distilleries that we've already done single casts with. And we know through working with them that they have an interesting side to what they do that isn't usually showcased through their own program. It can be, we've done something from Balcones, which is in Texas, and they're known for big in-your-face whiskey. And we went down and said, what do we do? What does it taste like if we make a delicate
Outliers.
Yeah.
Set of outliers.
Yeah. And things that we think that people will enjoy drinking, and it also widens the understanding of the distillery. So this is called Opulent Orchard. We also name, anytime we have a name, that means that we've done some blending. So if it's just a distillery name, that means that it's pure curation. We've done nothing. We've slapped it into a bottle. So Opulent Orchard is all from New York Distilling Company, which is based in Brooklyn, but they also do some aging in upstate New York. And these are apple brandy finished barrels that they had. They did the finishing. The first rye that we actually ever put out as Lost Lantern was an apple brandy finished rye from them, a single cask. And it's been one of those whiskeys that we get asked about regularly.
Nice.
So we knew we wanted to return. This is an older version of it. It's 7 years old. Do you remember what the finish length is? It's written on our website. Is that what it was? I think it was something like 4.
At least 2 years.
But I think it was
Finishing,
4.
finishing.
No, the original age, and then
No, it's like 4, and then it went another couple of years in
barrel
in the finishing.
And apple brandy and rye is a personal favorite of both of ours. We find that apple brandy you can finish. We've done mesquite smoke single malt finished in apple brandy, and it works really well. But there's something really special about rye and apple brandy. And so with this, we wanted to showcase that balance.
Spiced apple.
Yeah. And also show how if the finish is a little more restrained, sometimes you get an apple brandy finish that's delicious, but it's like, this is sweet and like toffee
over the
apple
top.
and
It's
just so
really-
intense.
Yeah.
But if you find that balance, it fills in some of the spikiness of rye. And so you get all the best parts of rye, and then you just get this like wonderful envelopment of apple brandy around the side. So it's called Opulent Orchard because we want it to be evocative, but for me, when blending this, it took a little bit because finding that balance was so important. We didn't want too much rye. We didn't want too much apple brandy. We wanted to find something that felt like it was its own special beast.
What do you guys think? Like it?
Good question. This
Proof
is 115-ish. Yeah.
57%.
Put a drop of water in this and watch the apple really pop.
Yeah.
So I like that one. That's definitely visually that would be like a candy coated apple. So you took off and you just put that coating around everything, which I think is really nice. I've done some bourbons with Calvados finish.
Yeah,
which are
so good.
really,
Yeah.
really good too.
We're also big apple brandy fans in general. Like love Calvados.
And this was part of a collection we put out this spring focused on new kinds of finishing traditions. So obviously places in Scotland have done sherry and port finishes forever, and they're amazing. And people started doing them in the United States too. But we're more interested in the people that are now starting to find new types of finishing casks that make sense for where they are, that are not just, well, Scotch does sherry, so we should do sherry.
Right.
They're like,
but
this is
you
apple
gotta
brandy
look at,
because we're in New York State, or this is a tequila finish because we're in Texas. We have a Texas single malt that was finished in a tequila cask. I think you still have like one bottle of.
yeah.
And those are really interesting to us because it's really pushing the boundaries of flavor in whiskey in a new way, rather than just adapting the old over to the United States.
We did it. We
can
did,
be
we
great
did, we
too,
did a
but
rye finished in Moxie soda. So
Yeah.
I mean, we get that.
a real
No?
regional
yeah,
character.
yeah, real regional characteristics. We get that. That's really good. I like that. All right, number 5.
So
Now we're changing colors.
yeah, we're moving to
So
bourbon.
horse is a
So
different color.
it's most places will do bourbon and then rye, but our bourbons are more intense. So I would recommend taking a big glug of whiskey though to try to clear your palate.
A big leg of whiskey.
Or with water. Yeah, well, that will help too. A big glug of water.
You were right. You were right, Adam. She is trouble.
But yeah, try to the apple brandy helps with the movement into bourbon, but generally this is going to be our most difficult transition.
By the way, here's the other part of that too. Don't trust your first sip. Take 2 sips. First one, discount it. Second one, now start going.
We're not supposed to just shoot them back.
No. Although I think that's what Nora wants to do.
Apparently. Whoops.
So do you want to talk about this?
No, this is your discovery. Yeah.
This is back to our single cask series. So again, this is a single barrel. This comes from a distillery called Frey Ranch in Nevada. Are any of you familiar with them? Yeah, that's what I
couple
figured.
people in here. Yeah, definitely.
So they're like Far North, they're an estate distillery. They grow all of their own grain themselves in northern Nevada. I didn't know you could grow anything in northern Nevada except a gambling addiction. And I've definitely never.
Well, a couple of those out there, have you?
Yeah. Yeah. That joke's getting a little tired. But they're in a unique pocket of Nevada that has a lot of groundwater, has a lot of runoff from the Sierras, and they can actually grow things there. And it's a 150-year-old like family operation in the area. Distillery's been there for about 20 years now. And it's exactly what we like to talk about, of a bourbon that does not taste like a Kentucky bourbon.
Right.
This comes from a high and dry, high elevation environment. That's totally different than what you see in Kentucky. And the interesting thing with them is that they're one of the bigger distilleries that we've worked with, and they've gotten a good name for themselves, especially on the West Coast. But they don't release anything on the East Coast at all because they just don't have enough. They don't want to make more whiskey than what they can.
I was in Texas. I've talked to them. I'm trying to convince them otherwise, but
they cannot be convinced of anything unless they actually already want to do it.
Yeah.
They're that kind of Nevada stubborn if they're not going to.
Yeah.
So we buy some barrels from them, and it's kind of our way to tease it out for them out here. So this is actually a single barrel that we did just for Massachusetts and New York. So because no one could get it out here. So there's a little bit more available of this than the other ones.
Yeah.
Because it's such a.
There's still not that much available. Don't get crazy.
Yeah, that means there's like 10 bottles instead of like 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, I don't think we mentioned this, but we visit every distillery in person that we work with. And when I say we, these days, so I do the blending. You also mentioned who is in charge. I run the company as well. I manage the humans. And he hates when I say that. But also so Adam is the head of sourcing, so he spends a lot of time on the road visiting places. And this was a distillery. One of the reasons they sell us so much whiskey, we buy 4 to 6 pallets a year casks of whiskey from them a year, and usually a store can get maybe 1 barrel, and that's because we visited them before they even released whiskey. And we and Adam in particular has built a relationship where there is real trust and understanding, and this is how we work with everybody, because our job is to talk about how they're awesome, why they're awesome, and really help people fall in love with the whiskey. And this existing is a testament to the work that he does out in the field, working with distilleries and convincing them that even like we're a small operation, putting them into markets that they're not in already, but it's worth working with us and continuing. Like they let me blend with their whiskey. There's no reason except that they feel really strongly about working with us. That
you know what it is here's our whiskey. Don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know you're not going to screw it up.
And they don't even ask to taste the final blends when we put them out anymore. They're just like, we trust you. It's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in Scotland too, with the independent bottlers there. It's a relationship business. Yep. We talked to an independent bottler there earlier this year when we were in Scotland, who said that they buy barrels from, I think it was the Macallan, and they could do that because they have a handshake agreement that their grandfather signed or shook on. And that's good enough there. And they haven't changed it in 70 years because they trust each other. And that's how it has to work in American whiskey too.
Yeah. We don't have handshake deals. We do have contracts, but the relationships are strong. Yeah. Yeah. And this is, so for the whiskey itself, this is a 4-grain, 67% corn, 12% malted barley, 11% rye, 10% wheat, all grown on their land. And also they even malt their own barley, which is really, really unique.
I'm just going to stop you for a second. For some reason, we are getting kicked off of Facebook for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. So what I might do is, no, it's saying that we ended in I don't know why. It was live. So we're going to try a live stream again. Yeah, I'm gonna try to just get us back on. I'll just put it as number 2. Yep. I'll put part 2 on this and see if it works. Hold on, guys. Sorry about this.
Mm.
Interesting.
I'm just gonna put a 2 in front of it just so people will know. I know you are, John. Thank you. Doing a great job, John.
Yep. Probably like a third of the time. I do my trips pretty fast and strategic now. Like I did a sourcing trip earlier this year to Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Alabama, and that took 5 days. But because I'm driving like 8 hours a day and then visiting 2 or 3 distilleries, because it's just we have so much other stuff going on, I can't be traveling all the time. And we do a lot of research beforehand. Like if I'm going to a distillery in person, I already know that I like their whiskey, that they're doing things the right way, and then it's interesting to us. And then I just want to go there and meet them and really understand how their climate affects them and why they're making the whiskey the way that they do. So it's pretty strategic at this point. We did take our time when we went to Hawaii in January, though. That was a nice trip. Yeah.
Yeah, I went on that trip. I don't travel as much anymore, but I went to Hawaii. Yeah. But I'm not going to Alaska with you.
Yeah.
I do California sales, so I spent 5 weeks in California last year. So I travel too, but just to one place. So we have to travel at the same time sometimes. So unfortunately.
Let me just try something here, guys. I'm sorry. It seems to be timing out. I don't know why it's doing that, but we're still recording, so we are good.
So we have a team which helps us. We have a production person that does all the bottling. I am no longer driving the forklift, thank God. I can do it. I can dump the barrels. We're both forklift certified actually, but we have someone that does that full time. And then we also just hired a marketing person and an operations person so that when we're traveling, we can keep everything just moving because it's a lot when we're both on the road. Yeah.
I didn't because I don't think their distillery is actually built yet. They've been working on it for a long time, or at least that's what I heard, that it's not actually up and running yet. I went to a place called Dread River and another one called Detling.
Detling is one I definitely want to talk about because that's one that I want to look at.
Hmm.
No. Oh,
That's cool. Yeah.
I think they're gonna let us come on. I'm not sure.
Sorry. Bourbon. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Brown is single malt. We don't have any single casks or single distillery series from that. But yeah, red is bourbon, green is rye. And we'll get to cream when we get there. Yes.
I think so. Actually, one of them is New England because like we're based in Vermont and it's extremely easy to come visit distilleries in New England, which means I never actually do it. Because I'm like, oh, I should go to Oklahoma when I have the time to do that, but I can go visit distilleries in Massachusetts like whenever I want. So I've kind of put it off, but I've been starting to backfill it a little bit. I went out to Triple Eight on Nantucket for the second time this spring. I went up to Maine a few weeks ago to visit distilleries up there. And I haven't been back to the Midwest in a couple years now, so I want to get back there, do the rounds in Ohio and Indiana and Iowa, and find some more places that are doing interesting things.
All right, this is the last time I'm going to try, and we're going to record this anyway, so Vinny can fix it later on anyway. So
Perfect.
if we have to, because we are still recording, we never stopped. And so hopefully it'll pop up again and we'll get it, but we'll see. Yep. It looks like we can do that. What?
Uh-oh.
That's
Mm.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah,
Yeah, Caledonian Spirits, which makes Bar Hill Gin, did some bottling for us when we were working on getting our production facility. They actually make whiskey now. It hasn't made it to Massachusetts, but it probably will at some point. Rye, which is cool.
Yeah, they're doing rye now.
Yep.
Which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see if that one connections lost is timed out. That's really weird. I'm gonna try one more time and we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
We need to get her to Bully Boy.
Okay. Cool. Oh, cool. Yeah. People ask how I hear about distilleries, and like, this is how.
Yeah. Word of mouth.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's distillers, sometimes it's people that work in the industry in any myriad number of ways. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, let's talk about that after.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep going.
Okay.
We're gonna keep going on, and whatever will be shall be.
Should I finish rattling off mash
Yeah,
bill
yeah.
proof and then we can keep going?
Yeah.
I know we're running a little long. So 67% corn, 12% malted barley, 11% rye, 10% wheat. And this is 124.6.
We're going up there.
Mm-hmm.
Should we jump ahead to Far
Yeah,
Bourbon too?
Let's do Fire Plung Bourbon too there.
So Blue Label,
Number
you
6.
know that means multi-distillery blend. This is batch 2 of Far Flung Bourbon, which is our bourbon flagship, showcasing how great bourbon comes from all across the country now. 3 is actually rolling out right now, and I have already blended batch 4. We thought our batches would last longer than they have, so it's been an interesting, yeah. And sometimes I steal from single cast, so I've had to redo some of how I think about blends lately. But so yeah, Far Flung Bourbon, truly from all over the country. This batch has Starlight in Indiana. Once again, we kind of love throwing Indiana in there because it's a good conversation starter because people assume it's MGP. Kings County Distillery in New York. Rich Grain Distilling in Mississippi. This is actually Ghost Distillery. We have a single distillery series, single barrel. It's a couple of casks that were mingled and then is a store pick from here. So if you're interested in tasting,
we have very, very little.
bourbon,
Yeah, we have very, very little bit of that left, and it's upstairs tonight. So
yeah, and it's super unique, very oaky, intense, hazmat, like swampy bourbon in the best possible way. Great for blending for me. Smooth Ambler in West Virginia, not their source stuff, their own whiskey. And once again, Wollersheim in Wisconsin. So, but really Wisconsin, West Virginia, Mississippi, New York, Indiana. When we say far flung, the rye is an exception. We truly mean it has to come from at least 4 states minimum for these blends. And I think 3 is 6 distilleries in 6 states. So and I don't even know what 4 is. But we're really trying to give you a bird's eye view of bourbon across the United States. This is 126.6. It's a lot of 0.6s. It's really funny.
You never notice it until you get it all together, right?
Until I start converting it.
The idea behind Far Flung Bourbon is that great bourbon now comes from all across the country. There's great stuff from Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, but great stuff from lots of other places too. So why not explore that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So no, the far
it's not. Yeah, Far Flung is not the same mash. It can be the same mash bill, but a different whiskey. It's not the same mash bill.
It's not. So it's a range of mash bills. We actually don't do a composite mash bill. But it's going to be at least 51% corn. So there's that. We do have on our website, we do though have detailed barrel notes that go into this. So we don't do a full composite, but you can look at all of the barrel details of each individual barrel that goes into this.
And just to be clear, since you can't see from back there, when we say we're fully transparent about the distillery names, like all the distilleries in the blends are listed on the front and the back label. Like it's not like a secret thing that's only buried on our website. It's right there on the front to look at. So we think you should know what you're drinking, and that's what makes it cool and interesting.
If you think that we distilled it, we are doing something wrong.
Right.
Or you're dumb.
I wasn't going to say that. You are the instigator. Yeah.
Middle fingers to everybody. All right, we're going to go with just a recording and we'll figure it out later. But all right. Next.
Cool. So the seventh one, we have a little bit.
It's number
less time.
7. Yeah.
Number 7. This is the very last that we had of our sample bottle of it. So this is back to our single cast series. It's the first finished bourbon that we ever did. It is from Boulder in Colorado. It's the Colorado bourbon finished in an Armagnac cask.
Yeah.
And this is representative of something we really hoped would start to happen as an independent bottler. We've worked with Boulder a number of times. It was founded by a Scotsman who wanted to make basically Scotch style single malt in the Rockies, and also started making bourbon too on Forsyth's pot stills. Has a really high malt mash bill, 51% corn, 44% malt, 5% rye. And they make beautiful bourbon that we've worked with a number of times. And then I guess about a year and a half ago, they called us and said, we have literally 1 barrel of bourbon that we finished in an Armagnac cask because we were just playing around with it. And they're not set up to do a single barrel release with like a custom label just for one thing.
Right.
And they thought it was good enough that they wanted to get it out more widely than they could because they're only available in Colorado. So they said, would you guys want it? And they sent us a sample. And we said, this is great. We'll do this as our first finished bourbon and be able to talk about it to a much wider audience than you're doing. So this is how we start to get outliers and unique things that we would never think to ask for.
And this is why you're in the new marketing company.
And it, 2.5 year Armagnac finish. Like that isn't long finish. They sent us the specs and we were like, we probably don't want this. That sounds like a long finish. I think I said that. You were probably into it, but obviously we liked it enough to.
Yeah, but the weird part about that is, okay, so you're only going to get whatever barrel you put into it. We've talked about this with Dr. Livingston about you're only going to get what you're going to get from the barrel as far as the flavor of what's in it, like the Armagnac, for like 2-3 months. You're going to get everything you're going to get out of it. But the barrel is still aging.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, we talk about sometimes like, wow, that seems like a long time, but it's not because it didn't integrate right. It's not ready yet. I mean, you got to let the whiskey the whiskey will tell you when it's done. You can't decide that, well, in 2 months, especially in a single barrel. Well, in 2 months, it's going to be fine. We're ready.
Yeah.
People are like, well, how long is that going to take? They ask me when we're doing something. I go, I don't know.
It's ready when it's ready.
It's ready when it's ready. I mean, however long it takes. We did a project at Sagamore that was supposed to be a 6 months project that to be 3 years. I mean, but what came out was spectacular. So you can't argue, and you can't change the process, and you can't cheat time.
Yep.
So it is what it is.
Yep.
And, Armagnac, I think, is a fantastic finishing. Even more so than, a lot of people talk about cognac. I think Armagnac is, because, to me, Armagnac is more almost akin to single malt than it is to cognac, just because of the flavor profiles and how it sort of ages and reacts. And I think when you use it as a finishing, there's a beauty to that I don't think you get with a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And this proves my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a finish you don't really see very much.
No. Because you can't get an Armagnac barrel. I try to get an Armagnac barrel.
Yeah.
Luckily, I know somebody.
And I think the fact that it's high malt, it can hold up to that Armagnac. Like you need structure there's times when bourbon.
It can't be a little something light. It'll take it over.
Yeah, where if a bourbon has too much corn in it, it can't hold up to those really intense finishes. The malted barley creates the structure of the whiskey on your palate that allows that balance to exist in a way that like Armagnac is we love Armagnac, but it's a beast. It's so flavorful. And so you need that palate structure in order to create the balance. And
it's supposed to be a finishing, not taking over.
Right. Exactly.
Right. You know what I mean? It's supposed to finish
You
it.
still, for us with finishes, you always still want to be able to taste the underlying whiskey.
That's
Not
right.
trying to cover something up. We want the finish to enhance the flavor and showcase a different side of the whiskey.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a one-off for them, and he wants to know, is there, since it came out so well, is there an interest for Boulder to do more?
We would love them to do more. I think.
Well, you guys get the barrel. You have to give it back to them, right?
They kept the barrel.
Oh, they kept the barrel. They sent you, they toted it out to you.
Yeah.
We usually like
That's
to keep
fine.
the barrel. We prefer to move it in wood, but sometimes if it's something like
No,
this,
it's
something
right.
special. Yeah.
Well, you know, the other thing is you try to get another one. I mean, it's not easy, especially a quality barrel of Armagnac.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was only a first time use, so they can put another one in
I
there.
think they probably did. Right.
Yeah.
We
So
hope,
they maybe.
we hope.
So
that
the
we
answer
can-
is maybe.
I know we've had a really hard time getting more bourbon from them because they sell out of it so
Right.
fast. So we're hoping that they have another single Armagnac barrel that they don't know what to do with sometime soon. But they also make lovely single malt. It's worth noting if anyone finds it.
They
both-
might actually put that Armagnac in the single malt. Talk about
That would
malt-
also be
talk about malted barley,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, but if you're in Colorado, it's worth checking out. It's one of those distilleries that doesn't necessarily have as much name recognition out there, but we think that it is a total hidden gem and worth finding it. I think if you're in Boulder, they now have a tasting room like on the walking street there. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to say the best for last, but we have one more. We have one more whiskey to go tonight.
we promise smoke. Here we are. So Shadow and Light is a blend of peated and mesquited single malt. So mesquite smoke single malt is a
Mesquited.
innovation in the United States, primarily done by Santa Fe Spirits in New Mexico and Whiskey Del Bach in Tucson. And they use mesquite wood instead of peat. The whole process is the same. They just switch it out. And there's actually both of those in the American Vatted malt, but we wanted to show what it tastes like if you bring it together. This was also made specifically. There is a docu-series that came out this spring going over the history of independent bottling, primarily in Scotland, but also I am in said docu-series, focus and in the like innovator, what does independent bottling look like for the future? And this was done in collaboration with the filmmakers, and they're doing other collaborative bottles that are Scotch. And so we didn't want to just do a peated American single malt. We wanted to showcase something that tips its hat to the old Scottish tradition, but also shows that new American innovation that we are so excited about. So, yeah.
Get a lot of mint on that nose, but the flavor components when you go to drink it definitely are definitely bold.
Yeah.
And I like it. I think it's really, really interesting. This is a thinking person's whiskey.
It is.
This is brand new. We haven't even officially announced this yet. It's rolled out to a couple places. So like
This is it. We have it.
But it's still kind of under the radar.
Secret. If you know, you know.
No, you know.
Which won't be true later this year, but it is something where the docu-series makers are starting to do screenings and stuff like that. And so we want
people are starting looking.
Yeah,
at it.
exactly. So
what do you guys think? Yeah. Oh, I just want yay. Yay? Nay? It's okay. Those of you who don't like Pete, same hands. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so you all know the distilleries that went into it. So we do have both Santa Fe Spirits and Whiskey Del Bach from Tucson, but we also have Cedar Ridge in Iowa that makes a lovely, more delicate style of peated single malt.
Yeah.
And then McCarthy's in Oregon. I know you have their whiskey, and to that is more of a like Isla style of peated
Actually,
single malt.
we bought like the last case of that that we can get. I don't know when we're going to get more of it. I mean, seriously, it's up there. They said we only have one. We took it.
Well, there may be some Lost Lantern stuff coming.
All right. Well, that's
coming
good to
soon.
know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Listen, guys, I want to thank you for coming and showing this tonight. This has been fantastic. Oh. You know, we ran long, but I don't think anybody's complaining about that.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you for having us, and thank you all for hanging with us for an extra 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's good. Listen, I'm going to end this now. You guys stay here. I got a couple things to go through with you. This will show up on YouTube and Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Cousin Vinny will get that up. Something happened with the Facebook Live, so that's why we record the whole thing. So I'm hoping he'll get the whole thing up on YouTube for us. So thank you all for coming. Anybody else that's watching this afterwards, it was great. You should have been here. It was awesome. And so bye everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll stop the recording.